Good morning there, YouTubers. It is March the 20th of 2024, and today it's a little bit on the cloudier side, but still mild, 7 above. But anyway, we're going to move us away from this particular cat here. I was trying to start it there, and it ran into so many difficulties yesterday starting a pony motor, dirty carburetor. Actually, I think I burnt out my little electric starter, so I'm going to have to pull that apart and check on all that stuff, try to get that operational again. And but meanwhile, we're moving over to follow me along here. We're moving over to the Army Cat, and as you can see, I got all the tins off the fenders, footboards, well, except I still have to take off that dash. So we'll go on up there. I'll pull that dash out of place there, and then we'll do the big reveal of how bad it is in the interior of this steering brake cavities and the master clutch. We'll just take a good look at that. So let's get that off. Okay, we'll bring you in for a close-up and just take a look what we got going in there. Okay, that's a pallet full of odds and sods. I sure like that Clark hanging around. Comes in pretty handy, and I got a bunch of these pallets, so now when I get components off this equipment, I just put it on pallets. I'll just store it off to the side somewhere. Okay, just looking in through the top cover of the steering clutch compartments. It's pretty darn rusty in there, moving right across. Rusty on both sides. It's pretty bad in there. My clutch arms here are pretty stiff. They don't really, well, they move, but they don't really function too much. You can see as I'm pulling the steering levers, that it's got movement in this area, but nothing over here, or not much. It's moving a little bit, but this bearing is probably totally baked. I'm going to start with getting the wash gun going and just wash all this debris off the outside. Just blast her. She can't get any wetter or rustier, that's for darn sure. Gonna clean her all off here. I still have to pull the flywheel off that pony. It has to come off before the lid comes off. This is a solid lid. It's not a split two-piece one, which normally I've got, like the other two have that. And then down here I got a catch basin there. Once I open up the fuel line, the filter tower drained out, so I caught that fuel. But I'm going to while I got a basin down there, I'm going to drain the oil in that injector pump, and then I'm going to drain the oil in this pinion clutch pack starter device, and then I'll drain the oil in the pony as well. Just get rid of it. Okay, I went around the whole thing there with the hot water wash gun. That's as close as I'm going to get to a hotsy. But we got the bulk of all the heavy grease and dirt blown off, and quite a bit of the yellow paint has been lifted off and revealed quite a bit of the original Army green, which I really like it, actually. You know, I'm not going to repaint it green, but I'm just going to leave it as it is, partially yellow, partially green, and it'll slowly appear green on most of the parts. I noticed some have been replaced earlier because they had no original green on them at all, like this area down here. that pony motor. I don't know. It's probably the original pony, that's for sure. It's still got the majority of green. A lot of small pieces anyway have lost their green. So I just think that it's been replaced. So anyway, long story short, we got this transmission cover all blown off. I have to pull the flywheel off that pony, undo all the bolts around the perimeter of this casing, and way up there is a cross member from the Laterno cable lift support system. So I'm just going to chain up my little hoist on there and pick up the cover, and we'll just leave her hanging there for now. So we'll just see what that's going to look like. In the meantime, there's a couple of things I'm going to address. I'm going to get the angle grinder over here and cut the wire off of this spring down here. Get that off of there. And I'm going to cut the cable front and back and just pull the cable right out of its place. It's garbage anyway, so we'll just get rid of it. One less thing to be looking at that's in bad shape. One thing about running a wash gun, a wetsuit would be handy. I'm just like soaked, so I'll have to change out some clothes, I guess, and then get on her. There's the injection pump oil. It actually looks not so bad, just black. That's some pretty ugly looking oil as well. Well, there's some junk stripped off. Just have to replace that. Got lots of brand new cable around. Well, inside these steering adjustment areas here, this is part of the jam nut that sets your steering clutches, and over time it's been broken loose and worked on with the wrong size wrenches and even a hammer and chisel. So that was a little bit rough to get off, but that was the better one. Here we have on this particular one here, it's in worse shape, and the actual bolt that it locks up, this adjusting bolt, is really rusty. This one not as rusty as the far side, thank goodness, but this one here I can't get a wrench on it if the nut is rounded off. So this comes into play. And of course, you got to put a snipe on a pipe wrench. And we'll have to get really hard on it. That broke it. Okay, now I'll see if I can get the wrench on it. Well, it's going to back up the whole thing. The whole bolt and everything is coming out. Okay, I got this one on that far side backed off. The jam nut is seized to the bolt, but that's no big deal. I got it backed off somewhat. Over on this side, I got the jam nut off, but I can't turn the bolt. And the way I'm remembering it is if I just pull on the lid, pull it up, this part's going to come up and it's going to roll this whole assembly over, and it'll just come out of that pocket as I raise up. So I think we can deal with those rusty bolts, etc. once the lid is off. We'll see if we can hammer that nut off of that crankshaft. Just like that. Well, this morning, it's another couple days later. This morning, I'm going to pull the flywheel off of this pony, and of course, in true Milton fashion, totally learning at all times. I was running bolts in to run this puller through the pulling holes of the flywheel, and using the impact wrench, I went and run this one in, and it was jammed up, and I went to back it out. Broke it off, so now the pulling hole is blocked. So as you can see, we got a doofer outfit here with angle iron across the bottom of the puller, held on from behind with these two C-clamps, and I'm not going to use the impact on because it'll just rattle things apart. And so I'm just going to use the old crescent wrench, tighten it up slowly, tap on the flywheel. I got another puller that I can hook onto these here narrow flanges on the front, but I also know that from experience, that's not a good idea because you'll just break the darn thing right off. So I'm going to go ahead and get on turning this out slowly with the crescent wrench and tapping it with a hammer. There, it's off of there. You always learn new tricks when you refuse to learn from experience. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get all the bolts out of this transmission lid. And right away down in here, this is a through bolt with a nut. And of course, somewhere along the line, it doesn't have a proper size nut on it. It's got some oddball thing, but we shall overcome. So I'll have to take them off by hand. Okay, there's all the bolts off the lid, and I only dropped one on the ground, not bad average. Inside of the top of the cover, there's a pin attaching the clutch lever to the shifter lock, so I got to take that out of position. There, the clutch lever is released, so it's going to come up with the lid. And of course, this is the pin that was in there with your accommodating nail. The old Cat has got a pretty good lean to the right, so I've got the Clark lined up, and I'm going to pick it up at the back, hoist it up and tilt it on its nose and put some planks underneath this here set of tracks here, and that will level out the world. Sitting quite a bit more level with the world. I don't know if you've seen that pin go, but that was pretty interesting. My original plan was to put a chain hoist on that cross member up there, but I figure while I got the Clark out, I'm going to try picking that roof up and bring it out of there slowly with the Clark. Clark proves handy again. Looking up underneath the transmission cover, that whole casting, that fixture there with the pivot points for the steering clutches, I'm just going to remove all that. That's going to be buffed off, cleaned up, and lubricated up. Looking at the steering clutches, they're rusted up, but they're not really that bad. They're obviously, I think, going by just gauging the depth of the clutch packs into that brake band, or that brake drum. The packs are pretty much worn out anyway. It's the whole mechanism here is seized up, that side and this side as well. That doesn't move on the shaft. And looking down in here, look what we got down there. Looks like a wrench. Don't know what size it is, probably a 5/8, but it's been in there for quite a while. It's all rotten or rusted on this end. This end still has a little chrome on it. It's kind of amazing what you'll find in the old cavities here. Going ahead here to the transmission area, that oil down there is looking pretty murky, but all in all, I think the mechanism, there's a little bit of rust on the shifter gates here, but all in all, it's not too terribly bad. Moving ahead of that into the clutch area is pretty dirty, grimy, and disgusting. This here is the pinion drive I'm going to have to extract. There's some schmoo hanging off the mechanism there. To do that, I got to go ahead and I'm going to raise up the pony motor and pull that assembly out the other way. It's got to go that way. Looking down in here, a little bit of carnage on the throwout bearing. It's all been broken and brazed right up, or maybe it's homemade, I don't know, but I got spare ones of those. I'm going to pull all that out. I'm going to pull the whole entire clutch out. Just got to break this here coupler, free up this here throwout bearing clutch release mechanism. Just pull it right out of place, and then that whole clutch ahead here is just going to pull out of the flywheel. I get spare discs and spare pressure plates, etc., and spiders, all that kind of stuff. So we'll just replace what we need. Anyway, that's looking pretty bad in there. Pretty all dang dirty. Well, that's as far as I'm going to go with it for now. Just got a lot of cleaning up. There's a lot of rusty dirt and old dried up grease or whatever is in there, rot. And we'll just clean all that up and get the brake bands torn apart. They split in half, pull some keeper pins out, and we'll end up pulling up the bevel gear lid and releasing the whole bevel gear clutch packs from the tractor and pulling it out. And we're going to have to pull both clutch packs off the bevel gear. Hopefully I got enough discs and fibers and steels to rebuild both sides, but we'll make do with what we got. Okay, that's a wrap, so we will catch up to you later. Have a good one.